right. Welcome to another episode 47 of the Homestead Shop Talk podcast with Al from Lumnah Acres, Ben from Hollar Homestead, and myself, Jason from Sow the Land. And today we do have a topic today. We've talked about winter projects that we did this last winter. And today we're going to be talking about summer projects. I guess you could put in spring, summer, fall projects in there, just kind of upcoming projects and talk about that. But first, we're going to talk about our week. I know I had a crazy week. My week was nuts. And I know you guys had a crazy week too, right?
We definitely had a crazy week over here.
That's awesome. So we have some fun stuff to talk about today. So should we make everyone listening wait, Ben? Or should we...
preface the conversation like that. Yeah, make them wait. Make them wait.
Make them wait. The very end.
We never have Jason go first with his week.
Yeah, there you go. Jason, let's hear about it. Let's hear about your crazy week.
Yeah, I'll go first. All right. Okay, so last week we talked, I think a couple podcasts, we talked about these mystery animals that we're getting. And so we decided to get sheep. And we got 4 sheep this week, and we went to go pick them up. Now this is a dual, I guess 3 tri-purpose. So they're milking sheep, and they're meat sheep, and they're wool sheep. Now the ones that I got, they're all males, so we're not diving into the whole milking sheep just yet. I figured let's just try to raise sheep for meat first and see how that goes. And then maybe next year we'll look into milking sheep. But the farm that we picked them at is also my feed dealer, Red Bell Ridge Farm. Super nice couple. We also buy our sheep milk from them, and they do milk sheep. And so we went there, and they actually showed us how they milk sheep, which is pretty wild. I mean, it's exactly how you would expect, I guess. But, they had I think they were milking 8 sheep, and it was pretty cool. They all kind of did it by hand. I mean, I think they do have a machine, but it wasn't working at the time. So they'll hook up a machine usually and milk all 8 sheep at once.
Oh, wow.
You're talking maybe a cup like that per sheep. But they have 8 of them, and it was pretty interesting, and they all did it, and it was less than an hour maybe. I think it took when I was there, the sheep already knew what to do. They hopped onto this platform, and they had the whole setup, and it seemed pretty easy. I think they had to train them to do that, but when we were there, it was pretty interesting. So while we were there, they did that. They showed us that, how they did that. And then we also picked up our 4 sheep. And so surprisingly, they all fit in a dog crate. I think they were about 3 months old. And we brought them home. Now, these sheep were already trained to electric netting. Right? They were already trained. They've been born and raised around electric netting since they've been born. So right away, I put them on electric netting, and all day they were doing great. It was a really great day. It was, we milked some sheep, we got some new sheep, and these sheep look like stuffed animals, with the wool.
What breed was it that you got?
They were called Clun Forest sheep.
Clun Forest. Nope, never heard of them.
Yeah, I've never heard of those.
I guess they're a milking sheep, I guess. They might be one of them weird, rare breeds or something. I don't know. So yeah, it was an awesome day, getting sheep. And then I purposely I'm not mowing my grass because I knew I was going to get them. And then, just water. I have some sheep minerals that I picked up, and that was it. I put them in a spot closer to the house so that way we could watch them, just to kind of, at first, I feel like I need all the animals close by me every time I get new animals. All my perimeter, my pasture perimeter fence is all set up, and it's charged. All the gates are up, so we're ready. And so that night, everyone was fine. And that day was such a beautiful day. And then all of a sudden, it turns on you. And the next morning, I wake up. You're excited. I get a little nervous every time you get a new animal, and hardly sleep. Because you're wondering how the animals are doing. And then the next morning, I wake up early. I walk out there, and what do I see? I see 2 of the sheep tangled in the electrified netting, dead. And
that's like the worst fear right there.
Tangled in the netting, and I know, like we just got them the day before, and we haven't even had them for 24 hours. And it was weird to see at first, because I'm like, that's never happened to me. And so I seen them tangled, and I kind of thought that, oh, maybe they're still, I didn't think that they were dead. I kind of just thought, well, maybe they're just standing still and they're tangled. And then when I went up to them, yeah, they were gone. Now, half of the netting, it was 2 nets. So half of the netting was pulled from one of the sheep. So it was already, like, half of it was gone, like down. It wasn't broken or nothing, but the other 2 sheep, they stayed in that area. They could have easily left. But they stayed wherever the netting was, and they weren't moving. They were just hanging out. So to me, I don't know. To me, it looked like maybe one of the sheep got tangled and pulled that one, and then while it pulled it, it got another sheep tangled, and they both got shocked to death.
Did they get shocked, or you think they got strangled?
I don't know. I think they got shocked.
I think they got shocked.
I don't know. Like, they didn't seem. I was able to untangle them fairly easy. It wasn't like around their neck or nothing, like a strangle. So I don't know. Nothing else was wrong with them. There was no like bite marks or anything like that. They just looked fine. They just were dead. One of them did feel still kind of warm. The other one did not. And I noticed, their bellies were starting to get a little bloated. So I don't know when they actually died. Who knows when it was? It was sometime at night. So then, what do you do? I mean, a chicken dies. It's it's kind of no big deal. It's a chicken. But this larger animal, I'm like, my first thought was, oh man, what am I gonna do with this? And then another thought was like, maybe I could still save the meat. I mean, they obviously got shocked to death. I mean, it wasn't like they got some weird disease or something. So I picked them up and I put them back in the mini truck, and me, Lorraine, and Penelope, we butchered them. We hung them up in the barn, and it was almost like, you have to make these decisions fast, I feel.
Yeah.
So it was almost like you didn't have time to process it.
Right.
I didn't have time to be sad, like it was just, you have to make it happen. It was like, okay, what do we do? Like, we have to make a decision of like, if we're going to try to save this meat or not, because we need to do that now. And so that's what we did. We tried to save it, and I believe we did. I mean, the meat's still in our cooler right now. It's been 5 days, 6 days, because I haven't had time to, because then we had our chicken processing workshop, which was like 2 days after that. And so I never had time to, we haven't pieced it out yet. So I don't know how much meat we're going to save. I don't know if it's even worth it or what, but we're going to piece it out tomorrow and then see where it's at. But we skinned it and everything, hung it up in the barn and threw it in the cooler. And Yeah, I was just kind of like, what the heck happened, you know?
Yeah.
The only thing I could think of is maybe it got spooked somehow. Maybe they got spooked at night, and they just ran into the fence, and that was it. I mean, I don't know. I can't think of anything. But, I'm trying to be responsible. I put up the fence. I got an energizer. I got, we have all these portable nettings. And the very thing that I tried to protect them with is the thing that killed them.
Yep.
Now I'm like, maybe if I had a different energizer or something, and maybe the energizer, if it wasn't that strong, they would have lived or something. But I don't know.
Well,
I don't know. I don't think there was anything you could do. But
that's that whole, like, you want the fence hot to keep predators out. So, like, what do? Do you have a weak fence that's not going to keep predators out, but you won't have it take out your animals? Or, yeah, that sucks, man. Like, that really does suck. That's like worst nightmare. I've had chickens get killed by the net before, and just reaching through trying to eat something, and they end up getting tangled, and you come out the next day and they're riggered. But man, sheep, especially, you haven't even had them 24 hours. Like, that's a bummer.
I know. That was horrible. I'm still like mad about it. I'm like, man, I can't believe that happened. I even called the people that we bought it from, and they were like, they couldn't believe it either. They've been selling sheep, and they're like, everyone just puts them in netting, and no one's ever had a problem. And so I don't know. We couldn't think of anything else that could have happened. The only thing I think of is they got spooked. I mean, a branch could have fell from the woods, and that could have spooked them. I don't know. I mean, they are kind of. What's even sadder is like one of the sheep that died was a bottle-fed sheep.
Oh no!
And it was the friendliest. Friendliest sheep. Like, it would follow me around and let me pet it and everything. And the rest of the sheep, they were skittish, right? But seeing that one sheep come to me helped them to be less skittish, and that was sad. So the two that I have left, they're starting to warm up to me, but they're still a little skittish. But they seem fine. I mean, they seem pretty easygoing. But that's got me all paranoid now,
Yeah, no kidding.
When we got our sheep last year, we had that happen. I think within the first week, one of them got tangled in the fence overnight. She didn't die, but she was pretty stressed out the next day. And then that sheep, like, I bet you 5 or 6 times we untangled her out of the netting. I don't know why that sheep would do it, but kind of weird.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, at least hopefully I could save some of this meat, and try to see what the positive would be out of that.
Yep.
And I guess me and Lorraine and Penelope, man, like, we butchered 2 sheep. I mean, that was kind of cool in that sense, that we were able to do that. It was just us, it wasn't, it was kind of neat that we were there and we had the stuff and we were able to do it. But
at least it wasn't a total waste.
Yeah, they're really small, I mean, I don't know. It just sucked. But I knew that stuff. Some of that stuff's going to happen. I mean, and that's never happened to me. But in back of I've thought about that. Like, eventually, that's going to happen. The animal's going to get sick and die. Like a big animal. I'm not talking about just a chicken. I'm talking about a bigger animal. That's going to happen eventually, and we just have to figure out what we're going to do when that does happen. And we got to make decisions. And I'm just glad it wasn't like I got to dig a hole with a shovel, type thing.
For 2 sheep. Yeah, that's a big hole.
Yeah. Or if it's like a big cow or something, I don't know.
Yep.
I was like, I'm just going to throw wood chips on it because I'm not digging a hole,
Right. We lost one last year. I think it was in like with a week or two. We got it from worms.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I don't shit that bad of a parasite load. We didn't want to eat her.
Right.
And we're like,
no.
I don't know if it really makes a difference for human consumption, but yeah, we're not taking the chance.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the start. That was the start of our week. And then, we had a ton of rain a ton of rain. And we had a workshop. It didn't rain during a workshop. It like the day before it stopped. But I had to put a bunch of wood chips where we have the workshop because it just got really muddy. But the workshop went well. I mean, everyone was super cool. Had people out from New Jersey, Texas, which is pretty awesome. And both days it went really good. I mean, everyone seemed happy to be here. So it was a good end of the week. Beginning of the week, not so much.
Do they all go home with a chicken at the end? Yep, that's cool.
Yeah, if they want it, yeah. The people flying the plane in the plane, they didn't want to bring it on the plane, so they were like, "Oh, we'll pass." I was like, "Are you sure you could bring it?" But they didn't want to deal with it.
Or if they have an Airbnb, they could have cooked it up that night.
Yeah, or that. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, they take a chicken home, and yeah, it was cool. I give them a little mini farm tour, show them all the baby cooney pigs, and they got to see our sheep, so which is pretty fun. And everyone's cool, man. Like, if anyone's listening that came to the workshop, thanks for coming, because you know everybody there, everyone's cool. Like, they're just super nice and just happy to be there, which is fun.
Anybody touch your new fence or anything?
No.
Good.
I was like, don't touch the fence.
Right.
I had to remind people, don't spook the sheep. No, but the sheep, the two that we have now, they've been very curious. Like, I would think, you know, I even ran the mower by them and running the mini truck by them, and you would, like, in the back of my mind, I was like, man, this is gonna spook them. But no, it's like they don't care. I thought, like, having the people there, they would get freaked out or something, but no, they were kind of like watching, you know, very curious, which is kind of neat. But yeah, that's about it.
Now, do you have your next batch of meat birds all ready for your next class that you're doing? You must, right?
Yep, they're 4 weeks old now.
Okay.
So in 4 weeks, it's about almost exactly a month. We're already selling tickets for our next workshop in June.
Nice.
So yeah, they were already on grass. So we put them out like the same day as we butchered.
So now, do you have people butcher 2 or 3 chickens? Like, how do you do that?
It's about 2 or 3.
2 or 3. So it's enough, but not too much to overwhelm somebody for the first time.
Yeah.
That's nice.
I don't make them do, 5. Yeah.
Hey, everybody,
There's
we're
some people
doing
that just don't want
100 meat birds today.
If they would have came the day before, they would be butchering some sheep. That would have been a 2-for-1.
Right.
But yeah, no, that's a good number right there for people, I think.
Yep.
So what's up, Al? What'd you get into this week?
We built some new chicken tractors.
Ooh.
Our old ones had started to rot out a little bit. We built them in 2017. So that's 7 years?
Man, that's really good for a chicken tractor.
I'll say 6 years, probably. I've had to replace a couple of little pieces, like just scab pieces on, but I've never had to rebuild anything major. And then
treated wood?
Yeah, I use pressure treated called the dog ear picket fence pieces from Home Depot or Lowe's or Menards. They're like thin 5/8 of an inch thick boards. But, yeah, it's the pressure treated stuff, but they last decent. When I was picking them up last year, I was like, I should probably build some new ones because I haven't checked them out this year. I'm like, I bet you when I go to pull them out and put the chickens in them, I'm gonna be like, uh-oh. So I actually built them before. Usually it's like, oh wait, I gotta get the chickens out on pasture. I need to do something. So
yeah,
I planned ahead, which was kind of nice. It feels good.
It does feel good. It feels good when you don't have to build another chicken coop. But
right.
Eventually we'll get there.
Yeah, but then it's like a few years ago, I was like, oh wait, I got to rebuild all these.
Yeah.
What style did you build?
Is this your? Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
So we build kind of like our own style. It's like the Joel Salatin style, but we use dog ear picket fences from Lowe's or Home Depot, Menards. Everybody sells it. It's 5/8 of an inch thick boards. It's like $3 a picket, And then we use the pressure treated deck spindles. They're $2 a spindle. So when we originally built these, it was like $30 you could build one for if you could get like the chicken wire on sale. Right now, when it was $30, it was just like the cheapest chicken wire and stuff like that. Right now, I do hardware cloth. I beefed everything up a little bit more on the top, and then I put on PVC roofing on instead of a tarp, because the tarps, after like a year or two, they just disintegrate, and you have like little pieces of tarps flying around. So we did the PVC roofing. So I think right now we have like around $150 into each one.
Still not bad.
How many birds they holding?
We push it. I'd say we do about 30. But
that's pretty good.
I'll keep more in it when they're little, and then we split them up as they get older. If it's really nice and warm out, we'll split them up right from the beginning. But if it's still chilly out, we end up keeping them all. Like we'll keep like 50 or more in there while they're tiny, because they don't take up much room.
Yeah.
We usually move them like twice a day on fresh pasture. So I've kind of found that no matter what, because we always get like a hard time, like they're only 2 feet tall, like the chickens must feel like they're confined. It's like, I don't know, you watch meat birds, they pretty much stay together all the time. Like if you move them, they're all huddled together. But on the fresh pasture, like you could give them 100 by 100 and they're all going to be with each other.
Yep.
Yeah. That's a Cornish cross?
Yeah, we do the Cornish cross. They were supposed to ship last week, but they didn't. So I'm hoping they're getting shipped out tonight or tomorrow. Cool. I got the dreaded phone call. Oh, we didn't hatch out enough. They're coming next week.
I've never had that happen. That sucks.
Yeah. And the part that really is a bummer about that is we space them out every 2 weeks. Like we got like the next order coming. So now it's like, the next order will only be a week away. But it's like, oh well.
Yeah.
We had something like that happen one year during like COVID. Well, the year after COVID. I don't remember what it was. It was, I don't know if they had to ship them out later during the week or if they had to push us off a week. But it's kind of like, man, I was looking forward to that. And we order them in like January, I want to say. It's like, man, we pre-order so early. You would think we wouldn't have a problem, but I don't know if it's just the later hatches, more and more people want them, or what the deal is.
Yeah, I don't know why that is. It seems like hard to keep track of all those birds.
Right.
Shipping them like everywhere.
Yeah. You put a bunch of eggs in the incubator. It doesn't mean that you're not guaranteed they're all going to hatch out.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's probably part of the issue, is that the hatch rate wasn't as good as what they were hoping. And then if you hatch out more than what you sold, then what do you do with them all? I'm sure that's not easy either.
Yeah. Just giving them away.
Right. Then we built the barns last year. And so we were only supposed to build one building last year. And then this year I was going to build the barn. But we worked with Ken from Ken's Carpentry. And he was like, oh, I'm retiring the end of this year. So I'm not going to be able to build the next one with you. So I was like, oh, I guess we're building 2 this year. So when we were working with him, I was like, hey, when you go to retire and you want to get rid of any of your tools, let me know. So he texted me a couple of weeks ago and he's like, hey, he's got a concrete power trowel and he had a power screed. He's like, do you want those? I was like, yep. So this week we picked up a power trowel and a power screed. I was like, yeah, nice. They'll pay for themselves pretty quickly.
Yep.
So he's getting out of the business?
Yeah, he last winter was his last winter, so
okay,
he's all done.
Oh man!
Yeah. So now I got to find new helpers, but I got some tools at least.
Yeah, just be like, hey, do you still want to help? You need something to do.
So I'm like, so when I'm ready to pour concrete, can I give you a call? He's like, yeah, if you're pouring like a small 12 by 12, I'm like, yeah, we usually don't do small things. He knows that. He's like, yeah, I know. I'll be busy that day. Pouring like a 40 by 40 slab's not fun.
Asking your friends to help with concrete work is kind of like asking them to move. Like, hey, man, I need help moving. Everybody's busy. Like, you find out who your friends are.
Right. We have a couple of slabs we want to pour this year. So I'm like, okay, how can we do them smaller? So like when we built the barn at the first homestead, everybody gave me a hard time because I did it in 3 pours. So the center building was 20 or 16 by 32. I think it was 16. So that you can do with a 2x4. You can screed it off while you're working with the concrete truck easy. And then I did eave overhangs, but it makes the built-in all look like one. So I did each other pour individually, so that way I could do it myself. And I was like, why didn't you just do that pour all at once? Because I'm like, have you ever tried pouring like a 30x32 pour by yourself, or with just like two guys? I'm like, the more you can break it up, the easier it is on you. So our bigger pours, I might do that again this year, because we did a 40x40 and we did a 32 by, I think that's 32x40 or 40 something. And yeah, even with, there was 4 of us, and that's a lot of work once it's, you only have so much time to work it, and then it sets up, and then you're power troweling it, and it just, you don't have much time.
You should do one of them dry pours and see what the comments say. You're just spraying it with a hose. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Have you seen that? Oh man.
Yep.
All of the YouTube engineers will come out of the woodwork and tell you how you're doing it wrong.
Right. Yep. Yeah, I couldn't imagine. They do make drive-on power trowels. So there's like, you sit in the middle and there's like a power trowel on each side of you. I'm like, that'd be kind of cool.
That'd be fun.
I've seen those.
And then
it looks like a hovercraft.
Yeah, exactly. And then they have like, must be laser controlled power screed, and it's just like a machine that goes out there and like screeds the slab. I'm like, that'd be pretty slick, because that's the worst part, is trying to screed it as you pour and to keep everything level. I'm sure those aren't cheap.
Have you seen those machines that it looks like a cannon almost, but the concrete like pours out of it?
Oh, yeah, it's a mud mixer.
Truck.
Yeah.
They have the pumper trucks around here. Then I think it's like Texas and stuff. I don't know, like where you guys are. Like, so when they come to our area, the concrete is pre-mixed and it's coming out of the back of the truck wet. I watch some people in Texas, they drive the truck down there and everything's separate. It's like the sand, the concrete, and the water are all like separate compartments in the truck, and they mix it as they're pouring it out of the truck.
I've seen that.
It comes out like on a conveyor belt. Like, it must just be because of Texas heat, it would dry too fast. I don't know.
Different parts of the country, you see different type of cement trucks. I don't know. It's regional.
I will say with the front load ones, if you have a good driver and you just like step out of their way and let them work, they can pour it pretty accurate without you having to do much like trowel or screeding or anything, like level it off. It's kind of crazy what they can do with those trucks. Then I went and Gina's mini truck we've had in storage because it died on me. It's probably been 2 years. It died on me. We were in the middle of moving, and then Gina had her big surgery, so it kind of got pushed off the back burner. But it's carbureted. It's a 1988, so it's not fuel injected, so it's carburetor. So I don't know. We got it running, but I'm still not sure exactly what it is. So it would backfire when you shut it off before. You'd pump it twice, it'd start up, it was fine. And then every once in a while, you'd have an issue starting it, and then one day it just wouldn't start. So we got it out the other day. I had to drain the gas, and then it fired right up. And then we drove it around for a little bit, shut it off a few times. It was fine. Drove it for a second, shut it off. Gina was going to try driving it, because she doesn't know how to drive standard. And then it wouldn't start. And then I just had to crank for like 2 or 3 minutes with my foot to the floor. It would just barely run, and I'd have to leave it like that. And then it would finally catch to an idle, and then it was fine. But I've messed with it. I put new fuel filter in it, new air filter, new fuel lines. Because I'm like, I don't know, maybe it's got a bad fuel line because everything was original. But it's still an issue. So I don't know if it's the carburetor needs to get rebuilt or if I need a new carburetor. But it's hard to find the stuff for an 88. It's not easy.
Yeah.
What kind? What brand is it?
It's a Daihatsu Hijet. But I was thinking, what do you think about this, Ben? I was thinking maybe I find like an electric golf cart and rob all of the drive components and batteries out of that and turn it into an electric mini truck.
You'd need some pretty beefed up motors. These golf carts, at least the older golf carts, they're pretty weak.
Are they?
I've looked into just completely redoing ours and going to lithium batteries and all that stuff. And yeah, it's going to cost like $3,000 or $4,000 to get the batteries and the motor. the brain box to drive everything. But with mine, I've got a brand new set of batteries, and I've got like a 2 or 3 mile range on a full charge. If I just switch to lithium, no upgrade of the motor or the controller, it goes up to a 30-mile range. So it's tempting. But as far as driving a mini truck, I don't know. I don't know how that would work.
They don't weigh much. What's that?
I'm sure it could be done.
Yeah,
some people have done it.
There's probably someone out there that's done it.
There's a brand out there called Vantage or something like that you can find them use. They're mini trucks, but they're electric. And a lot of the times they're like a military surplus one. So like a lot of military bases, I think, have them. I found one, but somebody had tried working on it. It was all cobbed up. And I'm like, yeah, you look into the parts and the parts are expensive. I'm like, yeah, to get this running again. I'm like, I'm going to probably have as much money into buying new parts for this as I would buying a brand new one. So I steered away from that one. But I don't know. I got to figure out something. I don't know if it's the carburetor. I'm sure it's the carburetor, but I also noticed that it's got an electronic fuel pump on it. It used to have, or originally it has a motor mounted one, so it must run off like the lobes to pump it. So I don't know, and the original one had like a bypass line. It must be when it was getting too much fuel pressure, just send it back to the fuel tank. The electronic fuel pump just drives right to the carburetor. So I don't know if it's getting too much fuel pressure, if that's the issue, or what the deal is. So like when you shut it off, it backfires. Or maybe it doesn't backfire, it spits and sputters quite a bit. So like you shut it off, it still wants to stay running. So I'm thinking it's a fuel issue, but I'm not sure why. And then when you go to get a carburetor for it, you can't get the original one. They've updated them. So I ordered a rebuild kit, but I don't know if the rebuild kit's for the original one or if it fits just the newer one. So I'm kind of like, oh, I hate to take the old one apart and start tearing into it and have the wrong parts and then really mess it up.
Mm-hmm.
So,
man, the struggle.
Yeah, that's a problem with those things, I guess.
It's only got 4,000 miles on it. It's an 88, 4,000 miles. It's one of the reasons, a couple of reasons we like it is it's left-hand drive because it was made for and sold in the USA. So it's not, I think like top speed's 30. It's not like you can't register it. It wasn't built for the road.
Oh, okay.
Then it's got a dump body on it.
Yeah, I like that. That's cool.
That's why we wanted it. It doesn't have 4-wheel drive, which is kind of a bummer. So I'm like, maybe I try to pick up a different brand one and like cob 2 into 1, kind of like
just cannibalize it.
Cannibalize it, keep it left-hand drive and have a dump body on it and then put 4-wheel drive and a motor from something else in it.
But you know how to do all that, don't you, Al?
I do, to an extent. Carburetors I have small engines and stuff like that, but the older vehicles that were carbureted, I've never been that great with carburetors. That's a whole nother.
Yeah, that's a whole different animal compared to, a lawnmower.
Right.
You need to figure out how to put a dump on the front of it, like a tractor.
Like a loader.
Like a bucket. What are those bobcats called that they look like a side-by-side, but they have like a loader on them? What are those called? A mule?
The tool cat.
Yeah, the tool cat.
Toolcat.
Those things look so goofy.
If my mini truck had one of those, man, I'd be set. That's all I need.
Yep.
That'd be fun.
So that was my week. What have you been up to this week, Ben? Anything exciting? Any good news, or just kind of been like a low-key average week?
Pretty low-key. It has been a very very interesting week, I'll say that. So, all right. So, actually, the last episode we recorded, that was last Monday. I don't think we'd actually had any false alarms yet. Last, the
Saturday and Sunday.
Meg's nodding her head. She's like, yeah, we had. Okay, so basically, we had like 2 or 3 days of false labor, and we thought she was going to have the baby, and it didn't happen. And so we made it through the weekend, and she was kind of discouraged by like Sunday, Monday. So Tuesday, we get up, everything's normal. she's like, you know what? I really need to get out of the house. Let's go run errands. Let's go, let's go get milk. Let's, run here, run there, post office, all that good stuff. I was like, are you sure? She's like, yeah, I just got to get out of the house. Mind you, this lady has planted every seed we own, just because she feels the need to. It just some weird, like, she's like, I don't know why. We got to go plant the green beans today. And so we went and planted all the green beans. We got to plant tomatoes like today. It's like, sister, you're 10 months pregnant. Relax. And, finally get her in the house. And I turn around and she's on the floor mopping. It's like, okay, I know what this is. This is her trying to summon that baby. So yeah, we ran all over God's green earth on Tuesday. We were out for a couple hours. And mind you, we still have the excursion, and the excursion is very tall. So this very pregnant Meg is climbing up and down out of this excursion, at all 75 places we went. And I mean, we went to Hobby Lobby, we went everywhere. And I'm just watching her huff and puff. And it's like, okay, well, I mean, we'll see if it works. We'll see if it gets the baby to come. We got home. I think we ate lunch, and she's like, I feel like I need to go lay down. I'm tired. She goes in there, lays down. We had a massive thunderstorm roll through. Now, mind you, I have been teasing her, saying, hey, are you going to be like the pigs and wait until there's a thunderstorm so you can deliver this baby under the cover of a storm? And ha, 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 go get me some hay. So, this thunderstorm is just roaring. I go in there to see how she's doing, and she's sitting on the side of the bed. I was like, hey, are you all right? She's like, I think I'm going into labor. So we, she calls the midwife, tells the midwife, hey, this is what's going on. Midwife hops in the car. Mind you, the midwife's got a little bit of a drive. Yeah, labor took an hour and a half, 2 hours. The midwife did not make it, and I caught this one just like I did the last one.
Wow.
This one was a little bit closer. The last time the midwife was 15, 20 minutes late. This one, I caught the baby and the midwife came in the door. So, it's all good. But it's man, she did it to this midwife too.
Wow. Put it on the and notary.
Notary and baby catching. So yeah, it's and I hadn't even said. So we had another girl. Awesome. We decided to name her Elizabeth Rose. She is the biggest baby that Meg has ever had. Now, mind you, this is big for Meg. Meg has always had 6 pound something babies, and this one was 8 pounds. So bigger baby than Meg is used to. But she is the healthiest. She's as healthy as a horse. In the past, we've had problems with, babies not, eating right and not nursing, all that stuff. This baby is the easiest baby we have ever had. She eats good. She sleeps. She's barely fussy. The only time she fusses is when we change her diaper and the wipies are too cold. It's just we've never had a baby this easy. It's almost suspicious. Me and Meg have been talking a lot over the past couple days. This is too easy. She barely cries when she's hungry, and then she eats, and she eats well, and then she sleeps. The first night we were up twice, and it was just that's really weird because with Buggy, sleep went out the window. We didn't sleep for the first year with Buggy. And this one, it's yeah, here it is. It's been almost a week and we're rested. So yeah, wow. It's been an amazing week. We're very happy to have her. I think what's weird is, with Buggy, Meg was the only one that could console that child. Meg had the equipment to silence that baby, and I did not. So I Like I could hold her for a little bit, but as soon as she got fussy, I had to hand her back to Meg. Not this one. If this one starts fussing, I can pick her up. I can hold her. She gets quiet. She's just a snuggly little baby, and it's been amazing. Our hearts are full. So
that's awesome, man.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
yeah, thank you guys. So that's kind of been how our week has gone. We've just really just been just chill this past week. It was Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Meg and the baby, they stayed in bed and just rested. And Friday, Saturday, Meg's up doing stuff again. I've taken over the meals for this past week, and it's been pretty cool. Kind of the way our roles are in this house. Meg has got the whole cooking thing on lockdown, and so I don't really cook anymore. And I used to really, really enjoy cooking. Like that was one of the things. Like I used to cook on weekends. She cooked during the week, and like we both enjoy cooking. Food is our love language. Well, this past week, it's all good. You lay down, you take the baby, I got this. And so we haven't worried about filming. We're trying to find that new rhythm of having a baby. And so I've cooked food all week, and it has actually been a blast. I forgot how much I enjoyed cooking. And so, there's always the struggle of like, well, what do I feed everybody for dinner tonight? What do we have stuff for? I think it was Thursday morning. Maybe it was Friday morning. We've got potatoes that are ready, starting to come ready in the greenhouse. And I need space in the greenhouse to plant some peppers. And so I went in there and I ripped out a couple potatoes just to get them out of the way. And there was like some decent sized tubers on these things. So I brought them in, and the next morning for breakfast, I cooked up our old standby meal. It was fried Swiss chard. You fry bacon. Once the bacon's cooked, you pull it out. You throw Swiss chard in the bacon fat, get that all fried up, and then you add like a dozen eggs all beat up into the fried Swiss chard. Once that's all cooked, then you add the bacon back to the eggs and Swiss chard. Really tasty dish. And then I took those potatoes and sliced them up and fried them up. And man, it was like, it was Thursday or Friday, I forget. But the entire breakfast was 100% all of our food. It was our potatoes, our Swiss chard, our bacon, our eggs. Like, it was really cool. It's really cool. Like,
yeah.
I guess you kind of lose sight if you're not cooking the meals. But the fact that my hands have been on all of this food for the past 5 years, it's really cool to eat meals like that. So yeah, it's just been a heck of a week. Getting to hold baby, everything kind of slows down. I think the finding the rhythm is the hard thing, because I guess going into it, I was kind of expecting it to be the way Buggy was. Buggy was a very hard baby. She was colicky. She didn't sleep. She didn't eat. Like, she was a classic colic baby. And I think we both went into this expecting that again, and it's not. Like, texting back and forth with my mom. I was like, Mom, like, this is the easiest baby. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Like, I feel like someone turned on the cheat codes or something. Like, this is really weird. Like, this baby sleeps.
You're on candid camera.
Yeah. Is this an episode of Punk'd?
Yeah.
Meg said today we were sitting there, and she's, the baby's just sitting there awake, just contently sitting in Meg's arms, just looking around the room, just kind of cooing. And she's like, if we hadn't had a home birth, I would think this was not our baby. I would think someone switched it. But I mean, considering she hasn't left the house yet, like, that's impossible. But yeah.
That's funny. That's good, man.
It's awesome.
Well, happy for you guys. Yeah, I guess it would be hard, just to get back into that rhythm, figure out what's the next part of life going to look like.
It's the ebb and flow that is life. That is having babies. for right now, things are going to slow down, and in a month it'll be different, and then in 6 months it's going to be even more different. So just got to find that rhythm again. Figure out what the new rhythm is.
Right.
So,
take time, enjoy it.
So I mean, if there's anybody who are our viewers, bear with us. Videos will be sporadic for a little bit.
Yeah, man. Very cool.
So, quick question: did you eat Swiss chard before you moved to the Carolinas, or was that like a California food staple too, or is that just like a Southern thing?
You know what? I had never had Swiss chard before, like 2015, and we were starting to really grow a lot of food in the backyard, and there was one winter that Meg had, in California, in Southern California, you can overwinter your Swiss chard, no problem. Like it's not going to freeze because it never freezes. And so there wasn't a whole lot of vegetables in our diet one winter. And it was like, I don't know, January. And there was this one Swiss chard it was in one of the flower beds, like, because we just grew in the flower beds at that point. We hadn't ripped out a third of the yard and put in garden. And so, like, I was out there mowing the lawn, and every time I walked by this really beautiful Swiss chard, I think it was a rainbow chard, my mouth is watering. It's like, man, I could really go for a salad. And I walked in, and I was like, hey, what is that thing? And she's like, oh, that's called Swiss chard. And I was like, Swiss what? I'd never even heard of it. She's like, it's kind of like, kind of maybe like kale or beet greens. I was like, can you eat it? She's like, oh yeah, I've been eating salads off of that plant. I was like, can I have a salad? And she was like, yes, that sounds good. So she went and we got the stuff and tore it up and made a salad out of it. And man, I tore that thing up. I loved it. I don't know if you guys are the same way I am. Like, I don't really reach for a salad that often, but when I want a salad, like, man, that hits the spot. So that was first time I'd ever had it. And then we started watching Justin Rhodes, and there is this meal they would make for breakfast. They'd go out to the garden, they'd pick Swiss chard, and they just fry up Swiss chard and add, scrambled eggs to it. And so that was where we saw it, and it was like, oh, haven't thought about frying it and eating it like a green. And so we tried it, and we loved it. We ate that meal until we were sick of that meal. In fact, that was like our old standby when we were traveling, when we were on the road. You can always find Swiss chard at the grocery store at most places. And so we'd get eggs and Swiss chard and bacon, and bam, you got a pretty good meal that's going to fill you up. And so we ate that so much when we were on the road. When we got here, it was like, I never want to eat this again. So we hadn't eaten it for quite a while, and I think this is the first time I've had that meal in probably like 4 years. So apparently 4 years was long enough.
I've never had Swiss chard. That's why I don't know if it's like a Southern thing or what.
You don't grow it out?
No. I don't know. Just.
Have you ever eaten beet greens?
Southern.
Yeah, I've had beet greens before.
That's just like beet greens.
You should try it.
They call it silver beet.
Silver beet.
What about kale?
I'm not a kale man. I don't even know if I've ever had it. I might have tried like a chip or something, but I don't know. I'm not a green guy. Like, I'll eat beet greens, I'll eat salad, but kale, I guess I've had kale and salad before. I just don't like it. And then Swiss chard makes me think of kale, and I'm like, nah, I'm good.
It's not as rough as kale. Kale is kind of. I actually heard something the other day that made me laugh. I think it was on the Wise Traditions podcast. The guy was talking about kale. He's like, kale was never something that people ate. Kale has always been grown as the thing you put your steak on when you're plating your steak. Kale was it was a hardy enough green that it wouldn't wilt when you put your steak on top of it. He's like, and then hippies came along and they're wanting to eat the garnish. And that's how people started eating kale. I don't know if that's true, but I heard that the other day. I thought it was hilarious.
It's just to make your plate look. Yeah, it was to make your plate look nice. It seemed fake, right? It was kale, but it seemed fake. And you're like, I remember that. You're like, what is this? Can you eat this?
How about the topic of this? I think we've
oh yeah,
we had a topic for this this podcast, and we've all talked about our week for almost an hour.
I know we had a busy week, I guess.
Yeah.
So let's talk about summer projects, whether it be big or small.
So I guess I have a question for you guys. Like for me, like this time of the year, this is like building season. I wouldn't call it like projects. This is like go time building season. Is this building season for you guys? Are you guys more like, oh, hey, like projects, bigger projects and stuff like that is like wintertime because you don't get like hard freezes and you don't get snow. Like I know when I watch you guys, I'm like, man, like wintertime would be perfect for clearing land for pasture because you don't got your brambles growing, you don't got leaves on the trees. But for us, if we waited till that time of the year, like we'd be buried in snow and you can't. So it'd be interesting. I'm thinking like our seasons are different for projects or building, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, most
wintertime
definitely.
I would say is our winters are for building.
Yep.
Or doing the fence. That's why I did the fence. I would say. So, well, like spring, summer is for raising our food, busy doing that. It's like you're getting ready for the next season, I think. That's what it always is, isn't it?
Yep.
Like right now we're getting ready for winter.
Right. Yep.
Winter, we're getting ready for spring and summer.
Yep.
I think what's interesting is like I don't deal with heat well, period. It wouldn't matter where I live. If it gets hot, I'm a wimp. I've had heat exhaustion before, and now the heat just kicks my butt. And so once it gets up into the 90s, I plan on not being outside when it's that hot. And one thing that's different here than Southern California is, it's usually like May. It gets up into the high 90s and it just stays hot and miserable until, November, December. And there's usually not any relief. If it's 108 degrees that day, it's going to cool down to 95 at night. That's not so here. Here, the hottest we have seen since we have been here is 94 degrees, which is like a cool breeze compared to, 108. But the difference is we have the humidity. And when it cools down, because of that humidity, the temperature drops. Our first summer here, I was absolutely shocked that as soon as that sun goes down, the temperature would drop to like 75 degrees. And then if you have a breeze, you actually appreciate the breeze. You can feel the breeze. And I basically go nocturnal come summertime. That's just, I'm still sweating. The humidity is murder, but it's a lot better than trying to work out in the hot sun with the humidity. But as far as projects go, I kind of hold off on the big building projects during like the peak of summer because we get so much rain. Our rainiest season is from like July until August, September. Right now we're in it. We have had, I think in the past week, what did we get, Jason? Like 4 inches in the past week?
Yeah, it was even maybe less than a week. It was it was a lot. It's a lot when my 70-year-old neighbor who lived here his whole life actually called me and was like, yeah, I never seen this much rain in one day. And I was like, wow, that's saying something. Not around here.
Yeah, crazy rain this the past couple weeks.
Yeah,
I would say spring is like prime building time. Like I'm kind of bummed. Like I started our building project with the intent of having a back porch. Like I really planned on being mostly done by now, and it's starting to get hot. And it's like, well, I'm going to be building in the heat this year. But, if everything works out, then yes, like winter is kind of my favorite building time. It's cold, but you can always put more layers on. When it's hot, you can only be so naked before the neighbors complain.
Yeah, YouTube won't monetize you either.
Yeah,
that's for Patreon.
You might get a lot of views.
OnlyFans.
Only farmers.
Only farmers.
Homestead edition.
I don't know. I think I just keep coming back to there's everything has a season. If I can't be out all the time in summertime, then I get up early, I do the things I need to do before it gets hot, and then I come out after the sun goes down. We bust our butts in the spring and the fall. Mainly the spring. You bust your butt in the spring in the garden so that it's pretty much on autopilot during the heat of the summer. And all you have to do is come out at the end of the day and harvest stuff that needs to be harvested. I have no problem sitting in here in the air conditioning canning. So that's usually our projects for summer. Like, I plan on food preservation. Whether I'm doing something or I'm helping Meg, I might not be the one who's, doing all the canning, but I'm definitely standing there cutting stuff up and, helping that way. This year, I'm going to be holding a baby while Meg is doing that stuff, or she's going to be holding a baby and, driving me, telling me where to go. So yeah, that's what my summer plans are, is to harvest and preserve.
Cool. That's a good one. So what are you building out? You building anything now?
We haven't decided exactly what we're building. We still have plans we're trying to tweak. So we have some building projects we want to work on, but we haven't finalized nothing yet. But we do have a lot of water lines we need to put in. We got to extend the water lines to the new barn and workshop. And then I want to extend water lines to the different pasture areas. And I wish it was just as simple as Jason getting a trencher in and going 18 inches. No. I mean, I guess we could do that if it's only winter pasture. So like the other pasture areas we might, but the barn and the workshop and the pasture by the barn, we got to have it, 4 feet deep in a hydrant, so that way we can run it all winter time. And we got boulders we're going to be digging out, so it's going to be like trenches. So last time we did this was before we moved to the property. It was one of the first projects we did. And every time I dig a trench, we get like torrential downpours. So I'm working in like 4 feet down, and it's just slop and it's clay, and it's just like, so I'm not looking forward to it. But I'll enjoy it. Like, I enjoy having the water lines now, but while I was putting them in, it was miserable.
Yeah, kicking and screaming.
Yeah, getting your boots stuck and you're just covered in mud but yeah.
Oh man.
So we got to do that, and then also I'll have to look up the farmer or a rancher. Somebody designed a water outlet for a trough, and it lets the water flow, and it has like a jet coming out of it, and when it comes out and it goes into the trough, it like propels it, and it makes like a circular motion, so that way your water troughs won't freeze, and then it lets it like overflow, so to go either out of the ground or to another trough, and that way you don't have to have power to keep your troughs not frozen. So I'm trying to, like, in my head right now, map out how I want the water lines, and luckily we have a lot of flowing water, and we're on like all of our terrains like downhill areas. So if I can get this layout right, I should be able to like feed probably like 2 different troughs from one, and then just have it like overflow and then just go back out. I'm trying to think of that because I don't want to use power to heat. We probably can't, because heating water to keep it from freezing when it's like 20 below out uses a lot of electricity. When it's that cold out, we don't have a lot of sun, so our solar system wouldn't keep up with it. So I'm just trying to design all that stuff and think it through before I do it. That's what we have so far. We got concrete work we got to be doing. We're just trying to finalize some details on what we want to do. Trying to hopefully get that done soon so we can start going. We want to try to have we like to get a lot of projects lined up like we did this year. Last year, I should say. So that way we can be doing some building stuff that's already closed in the wintertime. So if we don't have like the walls up and a roof on, it's not fun to be doing it outside when it's that cold.
Right. I remember you saying that. Like, you're trying to get it done before the deep freeze comes.
Yeah, you got to at least have a foundation in, and then you want to have your walls up and have it enclosed before you get a lot of snow, because that's not fun. What do you got going on, Jason, this year? You got any good big summer projects?
Projects. I feel like I just finished a marathon with the fencing.
Right. Great.
You did.
And it's like I need a vacation now.
No vacations in homesteading. Come on, who are you kidding?
I'm taking the summer off. I'm just leaving.
You going to Iowa?
Yeah, there you go. No, just one day off, I guess. So one project I do want to get done, and again, this is to get ready for this next winter, is I need to enclose that high tunnel still, the 2 end walls.
Yep.
I need to do that. I definitely want to put that high tunnel on a timer, like drip irrigation, now that I have the hydrant and water in there.
That'd be nice.
It'd be nice to get that done now, so that way all through summer we could use it. What else?
Now, if you wanted to grow in your greenhouse all winter long, you guys need any heat, or could you guys grow pretty much year round if you wanted to? Like,
no, you'd need heat.
Green and brassicas, you still need heat.
There's a certain point. I forget what month it is, but at a certain point, it would be too hard, too cold.
Yep.
We did brassicas in our greenhouse this past winter. Or was that last winter? I think it was this winter. And when we got down to the the deep freeze in December, it annihilated everything in the greenhouse. All the cabbages and broccoli and all that stuff, like it froze it to death. So that's something we'll address. We'll probably figure out some sort of heat source or something like that. But yeah, it's kind of frustrating. It's like, well, the cold crops, they're supposed to be able to handle some cold, but there is a point, even in a greenhouse, they can't handle it.
One thing I wanted to look into when we do a greenhouse again, I'm going to look into it, is you do radiant heat, is what I was told. In your greenhouse, you just use the black water line. It's the cheapest. And you just got to heat your soil to whatever temperature. It doesn't got to be super high. And that way you're just heating your soil and you're heating your plants. So it's a lot more efficient and cheaper to do that, where if you're heating the air, you're just kind of heating the air and you got to heat it all up.
Yep.
It's like, it's kind of a neat idea. But I wonder if you could set up with a wood boiler or a wood stove and just kind of heat it that way.
I saw one, and they built a rocket mass heater in the greenhouse, and so the burn chamber was on one side, and you guys actually get to hear her on the podcast. I don't know if anybody could hear that. They would have the rocket mass heater on one side, and then they ran the chimney through the entire floor of the greenhouse, and then up and out. Nice. And I'd have to see if I could find that video. That was a while ago that I saw that video. And they're walking around with a fleur, or fleer, however you say it. And you can see how warm the floor is in this greenhouse. And they're in some place like Norway or something like that. It's cold. And they're growing everything in this greenhouse. And all they have to do is just make sure their fire doesn't go out.
That's cool.
Yeah,
it'd be interesting to try something. So I might be working in my barn and I would love to put a door on it, which I might try to do that this summer. I guess it really depends how hot it gets. But I might work in there. I know there are some outlets I want to put up. I'm going to tackle some electrical work, which I'm not super, I don't usually do. I'm not too comfortable around electrical work. As far as switching out a outlet or something is fine, but I'm talking about putting in a brand new run and a brand new outlet, stuff like that, which I might try to do and figure out, because I want to put a freezer down there in almost like a little. I'm thinking we might end up putting a little mini farm store in our barn.
That'd be cool.
When people come, I don't know if we'll just open it maybe to people who come to the workshops and maybe try to sell meat that we have, or I'm not sure, but or have it open random days or something. I don't know, but I want to try to work towards that.
Yep.
So I need outlets and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, that's about it. I mean, I think just try to take care of all these animals is the main thing.
Right.
And grow as much food as we can. And I like doing it all at once. You grow all the animals and all the food in a matter of summer months, and then you butcher everybody and then you have a break.
And you get the winter.
I kind of like that.
Yep.
It's kind of a nice feeling when the last animal goes in the freezer and you're like, hey, I'm done. Nothing else has to die for a year.
Yeah. I know, man. I really was hoping we did not have to butcher those 2 sheep so soon, but I've got 2 more sheep that if they don't kill themselves by the end of the year, we're going to be butchering this winter along with 4 pigs.
They don't commit suicide.
I was like, stay alive, stay alive.
Hey, if you've got livestock, you've got dead stock.
I know, man. It
Yep.
just sucks.
It happens.
All right. Well, this was a fun podcast. We all have a lot going on this week, and I feel like it just started. We haven't reached summer yet, so we're gonna have a lot of talk about the rest of the year. I think a lot of projects going on. And
did any of you guys
happening.
Did any of you? Oh, did you guys have northern lights down your way?
Oh yeah, we saw that on Saturday. That was crazy.
Did you see it? I slept. I didn't see
what was it?
ours.
I didn't hear you broke it. Oh, the Northern Lights.
Yep.
I didn't see that.
Did you see them, Ben?
Yeah, so I was getting ready to go to bed Saturday night, and I had a text from my dad, and he was like, "Hey, can you guys see the Northern Lights?" Well, I'd seen it was like my weather app had sent me a notification. It was like, "Oh, you probably won't be able to see it in your location," and it showed a map, and I was like, "Oh, that's a bummer." Well, I saw that text from my dad, and it was like I was plugging in my phone, last thing before I go to bed. It was I don't know, 10 o'clock, 10:30, something like that. I was up later than I'm normally up. And I walked outside and looked up and was like, holy cow, there is something going on in the sky I have never seen before. And so I came in the house, I got all the boys up. I was like, guys, come check this out. And so they all came outside. They're all in bed already. And they all come out and they're like, what are we looking at? I was like, look up, let your eyes adjust. And it was real faint, but as your eyes adjust, I mean, it looks just like the videos you see of, the Northern Lights. A lot of reds and purples and pinks and green. And the longer you sit there, I mean, it was all in the north sky. And then if you looked straight up above, you could see, I don't know, those bands moving around. It was trippy. It was really cool. My entire life, I've always wanted to go somewhere where you can see the Northern Lights, and I got to see them in my own freaking backyard.
Right. Yeah. What time was that at night? Was it 11 o'clock or later? I feel like. I
think it was 10:30, maybe a little bit later. It wasn't super late. Even Meg was like, what is this commotion out here? And I was like, look at this guy. And she's looking out the window, and she looks up, and here she comes. And she was tripped out too. It was really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's about it, guys. Thank you guys for watching and listening to this podcast, and we appreciate it. And congrats to Ben and
congratulations
and the Hollar family.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Very cool. Yeah, I hope everyone has a awesome week, and we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Have a good week.
Later, everybody.